Hi. All right, so going to film another video. It's Lindsay Walton, professional team builder here, and I've got a jar full of questions and things to talk about. So, yikes, frog in my throat. This topic is going to be the difference between trust and obedience. There it is. Okay, from a team builder's perspective, the difference between trust and obedience, it's very interesting to see workplace dynamics where you have a person in a position of leadership or in a position of authority, to see how they interact with the people that they oversee. Oh dear. And to see whether or not people respond to them out of a position of trust or out of a position of obedience. And how is that leader, enacting their authority. So I'll give you some examples, and actually I'm going to draw on parenting for a moment first. I have a son, he's 2 years old, and if I tell him, don't touch that, the reason I'm telling him that, the particular stance that I've taken on parenting, is that I want him to touch as many things as possible. I want him to interact with his world and play with things. But if it's something that could hurt him, if it is something that could break because he doesn't know how to interact with it properly yet, then that is a no. If I have to call out to him suddenly because he's out of my reach, I can't intervene, I can only use my voice, then I need him to trust me. I want my son to trust me that when I say no and that he needs to stop, or I say stop, that there is a good reason for it, and therefore knowing that he can trust his mother, I have his best interests in mind, he will come to a stop. That's so important, especially as he's growing up, and we find ourselves in more situations where we're at busy intersections. Maybe there's a car coming that he didn't see. I need my son to trust that when I say something and he needs to act immediately, that I have good reason for it, and so he'll actually follow up on it. If he did not trust me, my voice could just become a noise in the background. If I say no for no good reason and he just goes, ugh, it's mom again, and is just reaching for whatever he wants to, well, that could actually become a life-threatening problem if it's not just about don't pick up my cell phone, but is instead about don't get hit by that car. I want to build a trusting relationship with my son. If I make it about obedience, then it's just I said no, so do what I said. And that message wears thin very quickly. In fact, obedience messages tend to limit our world. I find more often when people or parents are focused on obedience, I want my child to obey me, they usually test out those parameters by making sure that their kid doesn't touch random things that their kid could totally touch. It's not a big deal. But the parents trying to make sure that they're the authority and that they have established that their child's listening. You fast forward a few years and that kid not only has authority issues because mom and dad controlled them and they didn't like that, so they tried to break away from that. They know there's a bigger world waiting for them, and so they go. Not only do you have that, but if their parent finds there's an urgent need to say stop, or no, please listen to me, don't go to that party, please don't, like this person that you're thinking about dating, there's danger here. If they have taken an obedience stance rather than a trust stance, then why would their kid listen to them? Not that there's no reason for their kid to listen to them, but I see consistently, you fast forward in that relationship, when it was about obedience, then you just end up becoming background noise. I want to make my own decisions, there's a bigger world, and so that person loses influence, and as a result, somebody they care about very much gets hurt. Translate all that to a workplace scenario, or to some other kind of team scenario. You've got a group of youth, adults, seniors working together. In that team context, if there is anybody who is operating with the mindset of I'm the authority, and when I say something you must obey, be prepared. One, that team likely eventually is going to lose trust in you. Why? Because you're probably giving them more narrow parameters and they know there's a bigger world out there. You've told them they can only do this, but they're looking at, the industry standards, they're looking at this new invention, this new app that came out, and they're going, the world is bigger. So they can lose trust in your leadership if you're taking an obedience approach. And then to go along with that, I can guarantee you your voice is turning into background noise. Your team is going to tune you out. The only person you have any control over is yourself. That goes for any human being. And so obedience, because it tends to result in somebody attempting to exert control over other people and consistently establish, how do I know that you're obeying? I will create this scenario where I can then demonstrate, yep, you listened to me, you obeyed. Well, it provides the sense of, but you're trying to control me. Ugh. Anytime that happens, people don't like it, they tune out. They want to control themselves, because really, that's how it works. You control you, they control them. So with that in mind, if you do want to try to build more of a trust-based relationship rather than an obedience-based relationship, here are a couple of thoughts for you, a couple of tips. Individuals that I have seen who are practicing trust-based relationships with their teams, especially in management, one, have open communication. So rather than thinking, oh, I know these things and it's valuable for me to know them, but to hide them from everybody else, they communicate openly. And so if anything, the idea is not that they're losing power by sharing critical information, but instead, if that leader is a lifelong learner, I am able to share with you all the critical knowledge that I have. And by the way, I'm still learning, so for the rest of my life, I will always have more, helpful, critical, constructive information to share. So if you have concerns, but what if I lose power or authority by telling people this stuff? No, exact opposite. You will empower people, and because you passed it on, you are now free to go learn more to channel into your team. So open communication has been a big part of trust-based leadership. To go along with that, trust-based leadership listens, really listens, and listens to what people are trying to say, not just how it is said. We're human beings, and as we try to talk to each other and try to solve problems, it happens over and over and over again that individual conversations don't go well. Somebody was super frustrated, and so they accidentally exploded without meaning to. You have somebody who didn't word it quite correctly, so they leave the office and they're going, no, that's not what I meant to say. You know what? That's life. And if people in positions of leadership are trying to build trust with people, they keep the conversation going. They give people permission to try to say what they want to say, and if it doesn't come out right, to back up and try again. They check in and find out, this concern that you shared with me before, how are we doing? Are you seeing the kinds of improvements that you were hoping for? And that way, the success of your team, of your organization, is not reliant on single conversations. You don't have somebody desperately showing up going, oh my goodness, this is my only shot, I hope this works. Instead, trust says the door is open, or I can follow up with you if I need to. But very much, that leader listened, and part of active listening is following up and going, did I get it right? Or have we gotten it right? How are you seeing the changes that you were looking for? So there's that. And then the other thing is trust-based leadership shows trust. And so if I want to be trusted, part of that is showing trust. I'll jump over to parenting again, just for an example. My son, he's 2 years old. I've allowed him to handle knives. So we were at a friend's house. There was a gorgeous cheese platter, and it was put at toddler height. Rather than being a sheepdog and herding my child away from there for the entire evening, I showed my son, here's how to hold it. This is the part to stay away from. We're not going to press that one because it was a cheese that was too hard, and so the knife would have turned in his hand. That would have become a dangerous situation. But this nice soft cheese, of course, let's work together. Yeah, you just cut your own slice of cheese. Well done, okay? And you can use the knife when blah, 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 blah. I didn't say no. I looked for opportunity that if you're showing interest in this, rather than just saying a blanket no, what can I let you do right now? How can I empower you? How can I build your skills? The end result is that my son knows, okay, well, I need to be cautious and careful. He has learned skills for being able to improve, his use of that. And so he feels energized by that. It's really cute to see how excited he is to learn, how proud he is when he cuts his own slice of cheese. It's adorable. And in the end, I've actually built trust because I trusted him with something when I call out no, because he's about to pick up somebody's wine glass or something like that, and no, that could go very poorly. He trusts that if I say no suddenly, that there was a reason for it, and not just mom is trying to keep him from doing anything fun, won't let him touch anything. So trust, to get trust, you need to demonstrate trust. As a leader, is there something that you can hand off to somebody? Is there something you've had your fingers very tightly curled around that you could let go of and go, I am going to allow this person to take the helm. I'm going to empower this person with the skills or the knowledge that they need so that they can take more responsibility in this area. And if anything, rather than going, I control things and I know how things are supposed to be done and you need to obey, when a leader can uncurl their fingers and they can communicate clearly, they are listening, and they build trust by showing trust. Oh my goodness, amazing, amazing, amazing things happen. So trust versus obedience, two very different things, and if you build trust, then so many good things can come of that. But what are your thoughts? That's what I think. What do you think? Share your thoughts down in the comments. I'll be really interested to hear what you have to say. And please, if you found this video interesting or good food for thought, like it, share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's going to be lots more videos coming out about facilitation, team building, leadership, things like that. I just love to geek out. So I'll look forward to seeing you again later. All the best. Bye.